What is up, ProGuides family, and welcome back to another upcoming changes video. So Riot has finally listened to everybody and decided to buff the jungle. The jungle's just been in a very weird spot recently, as you guys know. The XP changes in the beginning of the season made it almost impossible to play jungle, and now a lot of the junglers are having trouble in the later stages of the game. But Riot decided to fix these problems, and we'll give you the details in this video. And for our question of the day, what changes would you like to see Riot make in the next patch? For me, I think Riot needs to work harder on balancing the rune choices. Everyone's taking Conqueror or Aftershock, and it's hard to find value in other runes like Fleet Footwork or more obviously Omnistone. So I think that if they were able to balance the runes and make it more of an interesting choice, I think that would probably benefit the game a lot. Let me know what changes you want down below, and let's get into the changes. Alright guys, to kick things off, let's start with the buffs and nerfs coming to the jungle. A couple months ago, the jungle role was nerfed really hard with a ton of XP changes. Although it did receive some compensation buffs within the past few patches, it's become very clear that these weren't enough to balance the role within the game. So many of my friends who were jungle mains in Master and even High Diamond, they couldn't even get out of Platinum. So obviously this was a huge issue. It felt like junglers had way too much early game pressure and power while being almost irrelevant during the late game, with the exception of a few champions like Karthus. Well, in this patch, guess what? Riot is planning to improve jungle satisfaction with major changes. First, they're going to be lowering the early game gank power from junglers. From now on, champions who are killed during the early game will receive a small home guards effect to help them get to lane faster. This means that if you're going to be getting cheesed early on, you'll miss a lot less XP and gold since you'll be able to get to the map quicker. In addition to that, the balance team has also slightly decreased the amount of XP you receive from champion kills that are not solo kills during the early game. And yes guys, this does mean that it'll be a direct nerf to AD carries and supports as well. These two changes combined will lower the overall gank power early on in the game, so a lot of snowbally junglers like Elise, Rek'Sai, and Jin Zhao will indirectly be nerfed by this. However, in compensation to those early game nerfs, junglers are receiving buffs in the mid to late game. Firstly, they'll be increasing the amount of XP you receive from farming, and it's specifically targeted toward the mid to late game where junglers tend to fall behind. In addition to that, the balance team are also buffing the starter jungle items to sustain you even more when you're low HP. This change is aimed at players who are less experienced with kiting jungle camps and knowing the optimal clear routes. For more experienced junglers, this change is welcome nonetheless, but it won't make too much of an impact since you already know how to kite camps efficiently. Overall, these jungle changes will make the role a lot better as long as the numbers are set correctly. A lot of high elo jungle mains claim that the role is weak because it has no carry potential past the mid game. On the other hand, a lot of non-jungle mains in high elo will claim that jungle is too strong because it can dictate your lane state with a few early ganks. These planned jungle balance changes will target both sides of the argument and work on finding a good middle ground for this role. Alright, moving on, let's talk about the dodging nerfs coming in the future. I quote, "Champ select dodges are something that hurts the overall player experience by putting 9 players back into a longer queue after they've already spent a lot of time and effort getting their last game started." Yada yada yada, you can see the quote on the screen here. Long story short, a lot of you guys gave me some slack about talking about how long these queue timers were and how they should probably create some dodging nerfs soon. Luckily, Riot listened to me. I know the severity does depend on the elos though, because sometimes in silver and bronze, it's not that much of an issue. Okay, so let's break this down. In the lower elos like silver and bronze, frequent dodges are an essential part of the game due to the sheer amount of trolls there are in ranked. You might have a first-time Thresh mid lane or support Kalista, and the only way to save your LP is to bite the bullet and dodge. However, on the other end of the spectrum, in ranks like Challenger and Grandmaster, dodging is a very, very serious issue, and something needed to be done about it. Let's just think about this particular scenario. This applies to our Challenger analysts and coaches on ProGuides, who really, really, really hate dodging. Challenger players are already waiting in queue for about 15 to 30 minutes. They finally get into a match and realize that their one-trick top lane champion is banned and they have an auto-filled support. So what do they do next? It's simple. They dodge. Then you have to wait another 15 minutes to find a new lobby, which means that a lot of players spend more time in queue than they actually do playing the game. And also for those who are unaware, you only lose 3 LP each dodge as long as you play a game in between. So instead of losing 3 and then 10, you would only lose 3 and then 3 and then 3 as long as you reset the dodge penalty by playing a game in between. So over the next few months, they will be implementing these new changes into the dodging system. Firstly, they'll be increasing the repeated dodge timeout so they can catch more serious cases where players will be dodging constantly. On top of that, they're also going to be increasing the amount of LP you lose every time you dodge. Honestly, guys, overall, I'm pretty happy they're deciding to tackle this issue of frequent dodges in high elo. But I've talked to a lot of our coaches on ProGuides, and they said that they're not really huge fans of the changes that are coming up. They told me that increasing dodge penalties, while things like autofill and trolls are so abundant in the game, will surely decrease the game quality. You'll be in some situations right now where you're forced to play out a game with Vayne Jungle because you can't afford to lose 15 LP for a dodge. On the other hand, there is the argument that dodging isn't an issue, and that the real issue lies in the balanced state of the game. Players dodge because it's so frustrating to play against new champions who always are unbalanced. There's no one-size-fits-all solution for the issue. I'm just glad that they're actually dealing with it. I think that they're going to probably have to come up with another solution later down the line. Who knows? But I think that at least they're dealing with it, and I think that it's a good thing. Moving on, we have a follow-up on the Fiddlesticks rework. So with the Fiddle VGU being released in patch 10.7, the Balance team have stated that they're closely monitoring his power level and will do multiple phases of follow-up changes if needed. Their typical follow-up for a launch this big is 1. A few days after the patch, if things are way off, look to hotfix a buff or a nerf, and 2. Reevaluate after the first week to see if they should be in the following patch. However, Fiddlesticks might be a very rare case where the playing against learning curve might match or eclipse the playing as curve. For many new champs or reworks, their win rate steadily increases over the first few weeks as players learn to play against and learn to play as them. But champions with designs like the new Fiddlesticks might be a little bit more complicated than that. For example, Nico on release actually had a reverse learning curve where her win rate actually decreased over the first few weeks. We'll have to wait and see if that happens with Fiddlesticks, but I am expecting a couple of buffs coming to him very soon. And finally, we have a follow-up to the Duo Parity update. So in patch 10.7, the Balance team added duo parity into the game, which meant that there will be an equal number of duo queues on each team. Good news is, this has significantly improved the game quality, and it's even better than what they predicted. Before these changes, around 54% of games had uneven duo numbers, but now only 8% of games have uneven duo numbers. It's worth noting that this was also achieved without a huge change in queue times or widening the MMR spread in games, so shout out to Riot for this incredible change. That's it for our upcoming changes video. I hope you guys have been enjoying League as much as I have, and we are also going to be enjoying Valorant this week. Holy moly, that game looks amazing. I'll personally be playing a lot of that. So if you guys want to join me, go subscribe to our Valorant channel. We're going to be creating a ton of great content for that game, so hopefully you guys will play that as well. And as always, guys, if you want to get better at League of Legends, you know where to go. Go find your challenger coach at ProGuides.com. All right, that's it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck in your next few games.